What's up everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I will unbox and review the Generac GB1000 Portable Power Station, which is a battery-powered AC and DC generator. I will unbox it, then fully test it on the items recommended on the box. So here we go, GB1000 Portable Power Station. 1600 running watts, 3200 starting watts, and 1086 watt-hour capacity. Clean, emission-free portable power, indoors or out. Versatile, fast recharging. Compact, durable design. And here are some recommended uses. But don't worry, we'll test it thoroughly. I'll test all of these, plus more. Now, let's open it up and see what we get. There's a manual, and 3 charging cords, 1, 2, and 3. And a big styrofoam block, which contains the generator. I pulled it straight up. It'd probably be easier just to dump it out. And inside the styrofoam halves is the generator in a protective plastic bag. It was packaged very well. Let's get it out of the bag and check it out. First, let's do a quick walk around. The left side has nothing, just some vents. The back has a rubber pocket to store the 3 charging cables, or whatever you want to use it for. The right side has a fuse, an AC charging port with a nice rubber cover, and a DC charging port with a nice rubber cover. Now let's check out the main event, the front. Here's the display, and an LED light. Here are the AC outlets, which consist of 3 receptacles. Note that they are not grounded, but there is a void where the ground leg would be, so you can still plug it in with no interference. And they have nice rubber protective covers. And here are the DC outlets, which consist of 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, and 1 automobile auxiliary power outlet, also known as a cigarette lighter. And up on top is a wireless charging pad, which is also part of the DC outlets. And up here are parallel ports, so you can connect multiple generators together. And last, we can't forget the bottom. There are 4 rubber feet on the bottom that it sits on. All of the surfaces are plastic, except for a rubber bumper on all 8 corners. And there is also rubber underneath the handle. Now that we've completed the unboxing and the walk around, let's check out the 3 charging cables, charge it up, and try it out. First up is the cable for a standard AC outlet. This end plugs into the generator, and this end plugs into an outlet. After plugging it in, it powers up and starts charging on its own. You don't have to press any buttons. It started out at 35% charge out of the box, but I drained it and conducted a charging test. It took 3 hours and 15 minutes to charge from 0% to 100%. I will point out that the plug is a tight fit. It requires some force to fully push the end of the cord into the socket. And on that note, the first time I went to unplug it, the socket ripped right out of the side of the generator. This little tab broke off, and the whole thing fell out. I recommend being careful and holding the socket in place while you pull the cord out. The second cord is for connecting it to a car charging port. This end connects to the DC port in the generator, and this end connects to the car charging port. So let's connect it. This plug does not have any issues with ripping out of the generator. The DC charging port is good to go. The other end did require some force to fully insert it. Don't be shy, ram it in there. And the generator starts charging, but this will drain your car battery. Make sure your engine is running while you charge the generator. And the last cord is to connect the generator to solar panels. This end connects to the DC port on the generator, and the other end has an MC4 connector to connect to solar panels. I don't have any portable panels to connect to, but I do have panels for my home, and I have free electricity. With it all charged up, let's check out the controls. Hold the power button for a couple seconds to turn it on. With the generator on, the display can be turned off or on. And the LED light has 3 modes: bright, brighter, and off. Press the AC button to activate the AC plugs, and press the DC button to activate the DC plugs. You can turn on one, both, or none. Then hold the power button for a couple seconds to turn the generator off. And the display doesn't really flash like that. That's just some kind of weird camera phenomenon. The display is always solid. Next, let's plug in lots of different things and test out this generator. First, we'll start off with the refrigerator. I'm going to test everything else outside, but for the refrigerator, I'm going to test it in place. And the reason is because it's nighttime and it's dark outside, and I'm scared of the dark. That's the only reason why I'm not bringing the refrigerator outside. First, let's take a quick look at the display. This is the percentage of battery remaining, and it's also shown below as a bar. This is the current output power. And this is the estimated remaining discharge time, or the estimated remaining charging time when you're charging it up. The refrigerator is using 47 watts, and with 99% battery life, the power station should last 24 hours and 15 minutes. Now let's lower the temperatures and get the refrigerator to kick on. Now it's pulling 80 watts, and with 99% battery life, it should last 14 hours and 16 minutes. Next up is lights. It's not nighttime anymore, so it's not dark, and now I'm not scared to go outside. For the lights, I used a lamp. The lamp is pulling 28 watts, and with 99% battery life, it should last 38 hours and 34 minutes. And next is the coffee maker. Let's get it plugged in and fired up. The coffee maker is pulling 935 watts, and with 97% battery, it should last 1 hour and 10 minutes. Next is a CPAP, but I don't have that, so I'm going to alternate in a space heater. The space heater is pulling 1610 watts. With 95% battery life, it should last 38 minutes. That exceeds the 1600 running watts, and probably why it's not recommended. Next is a phone, and for that, I used my phone. The phone is pulling 15 watts, and at 94% battery life, it should last 99 hours and 59 minutes. I assume it's just pegged at 100 hours because it can't go any higher. And next, we already did the refrigerator, so we're moving on to the laptop. I know it's bright out and it's hard to see, but it is on. And the laptop is pulling 38 watts. At 94% battery life, it should last 29 hours and 16 minutes. Next is the microwave. Let's get it connected and start it up. During operation, it's pulling 1277 watts. At 92% battery life, it should last 48 minutes. Next is the car fridge, but I don't have that, so I'm going to swap in a toaster. This seems like a typical item that you might want to bring camping or something. It's pulling 823 watts, and with 91% battery life, it should last 1 hour and 15 minutes. Next on the list is a TV, so here's a TV. Again, it's bright out, so it's kind of hard to see, but the TV is on. It's using 52 watts, and at 90% battery, it should last 19 hours and 41 minutes. And the last suggested item is a circular saw. I will run it free with no load, and I will also cut through a deck board with load. With no load, it jumped to 1731 watts to get started, and ran steady at 1260 watts. At 90% battery life, it should last 48 minutes. The next time it jumped to 3446 watts to get started, which exceeds the advertised 3200 starting watts, so starting the circular saw could trip it out. And it runs steady at about 1500 watts when cutting. At 90% battery life, it should last about 39 minutes when cutting. And that covers the recommended use list with a few substitutions. Now let's trip it on purpose and see what happens. First, we'll get the space heater running, because that used the most watts. Then, we'll try to start the circular saw, which will overload it and trip it. This overloaded it and shut it down. The saw won't start, and the space heater turned off. When the saw tripped it, a flashing warning light appeared in the top left corner. But all you have to do is power it off, then power it back on, and it's ready to use again. Last, I want to test the time estimate to see if it's accurate. For this, I'm using the space heater, because it will drain the battery the fastest among the items that were tested. The space heater is running at steady state, and the time estimate shows 36 minutes. So I will start the timer, and we'll see how long it actually lasts. The display automatically turned off at about 7 minutes, and I turned it back on. Then it turned off again at about 18 minutes, so I turned it back on. With 8% battery and 2 minutes remaining, a flashing lightning bolt warning appeared next to the battery icon. Then it turned off, and here's the final result. It lasted 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Recall when we started, it showed the estimated time as 36 minutes. We only got 85% of the estimate. The last thing to test is the wireless charging station on the top. For me, it was difficult to get my phone to connect, and when I did, it was intermittent. The charging kept connecting and disconnecting. Here's a close-up of it continuously kicking on and off, and this is the best I could get it. I could not get it to charge normally. It's likely because I have a protective case on my phone, but I'm not going to remove it. That defeats the purpose, and it charges perfectly normal on the many other wireless chargers that I use. They immediately connect and stay connected with no issues. So that brings us to the end. It has a few fails, like the broken charging connector and the wireless charger. But other than that, this thing is pretty awesome, and definitely comes in handy. I'm happy with it. As always, I hope you found this helpful. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.